So about a week ago, Knocked Loose and Poppy performed on Jimmy Kimmel on his late night show, and it seems like a lot of people are upset about that, so let's dive right into it. So Knocked Loose and Poppy performed Suffocate on Jimmy Kimmel Live, both, two of the top bands and artists in the entire, not just metal, but rock scene today, two of the best albums of 2024. They're going to be on everybody's, best of albums list for 2024. So a very cool opportunity. I remember when this got announced, everybody in the scene, it's funny, like sometimes, metal fans or punk fans and emo fans or pop punk fans, sometimes there's a lot of infighting about these subgenres, but whenever it comes to like the broader alternative rock music scene getting into the mainstream and doing something in the mainstream, usually everybody comes together as if we're kind of like a fan of like a really bad NFL team or something, a really bad team, and we're all in it together. So when it was announced that Knocked Loose and Poppy were going to be on a late night or whatever is it just called Jimmy Kimmel Live, whatever his show is called, everybody was pretty happy about it. And then about 24 hours after the performance, we got headlines like this. Knocked Loose's Jimmy Kimmel Live performance ignited outrage among the show's regular viewers. And I love the subheader right here. Quite frankly, I think the Jimmy Kimmel Show and its staff should make a formal apology. So a lot of the quotes here are just hilarious, especially coming from a fan of this music. Like from this perspective, all of this stuff is almost like a bad comedy skit or like an SNL skit, some of these quotes. So here we go from a Facebook user. I was sitting on the couch with my son, who is an adolescent. Thanks for letting us know. Waiting to see the musical guest because we like the nice music the show usually books. By the third or fourth junt from the guitars, my son was in tears. He didn't like the scary things, and quite frankly, I think the Kimmel Show and its staff should make a formal apology. Another keyboard warrior said about the same thing. The lyrics were unintelligible. The screaming was unbearable. If I have to read the lyrics, I'll just read them and not listen to somebody yell them. What else? This was not enjoyable, and you can't understand more than 5% of the lyrics. Moshing does not equal dancing. And one of my personal favorites, how do I sing along with this? LOL, just sounds like a screaming frenzy to me. Actually started to hurt my ears. People who listen to this have no room to complain about crying babies or screaming 2-year-olds taking a tantrum. Ha ha ha, unreal. They call this music Jimmy. So obviously it's fun just to read some of this stuff and just laugh at it because it's just hilarious, disappointing, cringe, whatever you want to say. And initially I didn't really think too much about it, but then I talk about it so much on the channel that there is no mainstream outlet for any of this music. Alternative rock, metal, emo, pop punk, punk rock, screamo, ska, shoegaze. There just isn't. Like, your best hope is to go viral on TikTok. That's about it. Like, there's no radio play. MTV doesn't exist. There just isn't. This type of music isn't on award shows or late night shows or anything for the casual mainstream fan to hear any of this music. So when a band like Knocked Loose and Poppy get on a late night show, it is important. I don't know how much those shows matter, truthfully, anymore. I think all of them went to that Monday to Thursday model. They don't even have live shows or new shows on Friday because there was no money from ads or anything like that. I think Fallon was like the last one to make that switch where there's no new show on Fridays anymore because they're just losing money. So that's a whole other conversation. To me, those shows are just boring, formulaic. They're just 1 hour long commercial. Everything's fake. We all know it's fake, but that's a whole other story. But as far as like this music, alternative rock music, whatever you want to call it, on these shows, I do think that's important because, again, for like a lot of casual fans of rock music, they didn't know who Knocked Loose or Poppy was probably before this performance. And Knocked Loose and Poppy are probably the two biggest bands and artists in the entire scene, like especially in 2024. Like, who else would you put on there that's not like a legacy act? Like, what was the last rock band that was on any of these late night shows? Like, my guess would, off the top of my head, without like Googling, it would probably be like the Foo Fighters, right? The Foo Fighters have been like that band that's been like, oh, we need like a rock band to be in some kind of mainstream thing. Like, just throw in the Foo Fighters. And if you think that I'm wrong and that casual fans of rock music, are still hip and cool and they know all the new bands and stuff, you got to remember that it wasn't that long ago where we realized that a lot of these fans, these casual fans of rock music, don't know something as obvious that Rage Against the Machine and Green Day are even political bands. They don't listen to the lyrics. They barely, they're totally passively listening to the actual music that's happening. So yeah, I don't think any of these casual fans who were staying up to watch Jimmy Kimmel live are, aficionados on the current rock scene at all. And the lead singer of Knocked Loose, Brian, did respond to all of the, I don't even know if I would call it criticism, just the reaction, I guess, to what was happening here. Knocked Loose's Brian Garris has a message for Kimmel performance critics. If it scared you, good. So this is just a sample of what he had to say. The other day, Knocked Loose performed on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and for a long time now, our goal has been to see how far we can squeeze this band into places where we don't fit, and I think this may have been the biggest one on national television. Feels like the ceiling gets higher for everyone every single day. We celebrate this together. Thank you so much. And like I said, it's been a long time since there's been this level of mainstream attention to rock music. I mean, 10, 15 years ago was when, My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy were on TRL. Your favorite bands of, the last few years, even, the last decade, a Title Fight, Modern Baseball, The Story So Far. No one knows who those bands are as far as mainstream casual fans of rock music are. The last bands that they think of when they think of rock music are My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy. So right now, as of this recording, the performance has about 1.3 million views, which is a lot, obviously. And I wanted to compare it to some of the, music videos from Knocked Loose and Poppy. Obviously, 4.5 million views for the official Suffocate music video. But I mean, even Knocked Loose's video for A Blinding Faith here, 1.7 to 1.3. And then for Poppy, Poppy's blowing everybody out of the water. Well, that's from 6 years ago, but what's a recent music video? I don't know why that's not popping up here. Bad Omens and Poppy 10 months ago, 8 million views. Here we go from Poppy from about a year ago, under 1 million views. So, even I said earlier that being on Jimmy Kimmel Live maybe doesn't matter too much, or being on these shows, but 1.3 million views isn't anything to, dismiss. But I did really like the top comment as of right now. My 7-year-old daughter just heard this for the first time. Watching the glisten in her eyes as Poppy walked onto the stage was a magical moment. Her only reaction without even moving her eyes from the screen was, wow, she is so cool. Potentially a life-changing moment just happened here, boys. So that's just cool to see. Obviously, I assume, hopefully, that this commenter, this dad isn't, trolling, or it isn't a fake, comment or anything. But I could see how, seeing this performance, seeing Knocked Loose and Poppy on, TV could easily change somebody's life the same way that, if you were in the 90s and you heard, Nevermind by Nirvana for the first time, not Nevermind, but Smells Like Teen Spirit, I'm a poser. You hear Nirvana for the first time and you're like, wow, this, how many stories have we seen of bands saying that they heard, Smells Like Teen Spirit, or they just heard Nirvana and it blew their minds. Or maybe in 2006, you heard The Black Parade and you were like, wow, this is crazy. I either want to do this, or I want to, check out more of this music. I want to get involved in the scene. Something like that. And I think that's pretty cool. This is what we need more of. We need more of this mainstream attention, these mainstream outlets for, the alternative rock scene. Because I don't want to repeat myself, but like I said, there isn't anything for these bands to get their music out to, millions and millions of people. So 1.3 million people at least have viewed this performance. I don't know what the ratings are for a random episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, but you add that on top to the 1.3 million views, and you have a lot of people who not just know that Knocked Loose and Poppy are a thing. They finally know who these bands and these artists are, but this might have been the first time in literal years that they heard aggressive alternative rock music. So that's it. That was a quick summary of everything that happened in the last week with, Poppy, Knocked Loose, Jimmy Kimmel, mainstream rock music, mainstream media, all the fun stuff. Let me know what you thought about not just the performance, but just the reaction to the performance, the reaction to the reaction. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please like the video. Helps me out, helps the channel out. Please subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.